had a dream last night. It was not my normal dream of me flying around naked, eating pancakes. No, it was something more like watching Susan B. Anthony talking with Kamala Harris. And it went something like this.
Good evening, Susan. It's so nice to meet you. This is quite an honor and a thrill for me. My name is Kamala Harris, and some people think we have a lot in common.
Hello, Kamala. I'm excited to be here, and I've got the feeling that this is going to be an eye-opening experience and fun for all of us. For starters, what year is this, and where are you?
Well, I'm in Washington, D.C. It's January 14th, 2021. I hope you're sitting down, Susan, because in 6 days, I'm about to be the first female vice president of the United States of America. I'm also the first person of color to achieve this, and I wanted to say thank you to you for making it possible for me to be here.
Oh, wow, Kamala, this is the best news I could possibly imagine. Congratulations, and I wish I were there. Now, my guess is that you are a very hard worker, extremely smart, and that you broke a few rules along the way. Am I right?
Well, we do have that in common. You know, we studied you in school and we learned a lot about you, certainly about how much you worked for women's rights and the women's right to vote in particular. But I'd love to hear your story from you. Would you do that for us?
Well, Kamala, I broke every rule that didn't suit me. I charmed or tried to charm almost every reporter I ever met. I had to be smart, optimistic, funny, as well as knowledgeable and fast thinking.
That sounds very familiar.
Well, I was ultimately welcomed to the White House and even cheered in Congress. Can you believe it? My autograph was marketed as aggressively as your modern day baseball cards. Now, Kamala, if you go deep into the crypt of the US Capitol, you can see me and my dear colleagues, Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, as a marble statue. And if you have the first US dollar coin, you can carry me in your purse or pocket.
All right, then. You got me there because I'm not on any currency yet.
Well, I believed that when women gained the right to vote, progress would be made on many, many fronts, like domestic violence, victimization of prostitutes, equal pay for equal work, sexual harassment, financial rights for single and married women, tobacco and alcohol abuse. How are we doing in those areas?
Susan, we're still fighting some of these, maybe even all of these to this day. So in some respects, nothing has changed, but a lot of change has happened and we've made a lot of progress. You know what I wanted to ask you? Did you have a job? What kind of work did you do?
Well, I was a teacher and I saw income inequality firsthand. As a female teacher, I was paid a salary of $1 per week, while male teachers were paid 3 or 4 times that much for the same work. Oh, don't get me started on financial inequity of women. When a woman marries, her wealth no longer is her own. All her money, all her wages, and her inheritance, it all belongs not to her, but to her husband.
Oh, I wish I could tell you differently, but no, inequality is, it's in the working and it's called gender wage gap. Women get paid 82 cents to every $1 that a white man earns. And it is significantly different depending on your race and ethnicity. And I should know, I'm African-American and I'm an Asian. My mother was immigrated here from the United States and India, where she met my father, who was originally from Jamaica. So I certainly know a lot when it comes to inequality from growing up in California in the 1960s.
Oh, come on. That's so sad to hear. But tell me, are there any problems still with public drunkenness where you are? It was a serious problem in the 1880s. The laws of the time gave husbands complete control of the family and its finances. A drunken husband could be abusive, leave his family destitute, abandon his wife, and still claim that the children belonged to him alone. Kamala, did you know that in 1862, the Supreme Court of North Carolina denied a divorce to a woman whose husband had horsewhipped her? The Chief Justice wrote, "The law gives a husband the power to use such degree of force necessary to make the woman behave and to know her place."
I'm speechless.
But sadly, even in the temperance movement itself, women were not allowed much participation. But when I met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, it was absolutely clear to me that the better course was to fight for women's right to change the laws through the power of the vote. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and I worked together for 50 years. I had more time and strength than she did. After all, she was married and the mother of 7 children. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and so many other women fought for women's civil rights. There was Lucretia Mott and Lucy Stone, Amelia Bloomer, Ida B. Wells, Sojourner Truth, Alice Paul, Carrie Chapman Catt. Oh, I could go on. Oh, so many. But I think what distinguishes me from so many others working for women's rights is my uncompromising insistence that no other right is more central and no other need is more pressing than the right to vote. Well, I am passionate and have concern for just marriage laws and for equal pay and for equal education for girls and women. But without suffrage, without the vote, none of these improvements would last. But with the vote, all of these improvements and other rights would flow. I guess, as you can see, I am a forward thinker. Some even said I was ahead of my time.
Mhm. You mentioned marriage laws. We have come so far in that category. In 2015, same-sex couples are now allowed to marry and adopt children. This would have blown the minds of people back in your day. In addition to that, I'm married to a white Jewish man, and in your day, that couldn't have happened either. So a lot of things have really changed.
Wow. Wow. I never married, but devoted my life to the cause of suffrage. I resolved to use my life, my voice, my strength to win voting rights for women. I traveled all over the country speaking, small villages, Western outposts, state capitals, major cities. Well, that's how I supported myself and promoted the idea of universal suffrage, votes for everyone. Universal suffrage is the right of all citizens to vote for all offices, no educational limitation, no property qualifications, no barriers. In modern terms, you would say votes for all. Thousands of women fought, suffered, and devoted their lives to this cause for almost 100 years before the Constitution was amended to give women, and even then it was some women, the vote.
You know, I remember learning back in school that winning the vote in 1920 was bittersweet for those of us who were Black women, since women's suffrage didn't extend in practice to 3/4 of the nation's Black women. Jim Crow laws literally disenfranchised Southern Black citizens, both male and female, until the 1965 Voting Rights Act. That was a year after I was born. Even today, voter suppression hobbles people of color as they try to exercise equal civil and political rights.
Well, I didn't live to see passage of the 19th Amendment. Almost none of us who began the movement did. We fought for your right to vote, even though we never lived to see it happen.
But when the 19th Amendment was finally introduced into Congress in 1919, it was referred to as the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. I wish you could have known that, Susan. Let me recite to you in short, to the point, what is my favorite. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex.
Oh, I love that, Kamala. And this has been so interesting talking to you. Let me wish you good luck on your inauguration next week and keep fighting the good fight.
I will.
That was some dream, wasn't it? I mean, come on. That was like a fever dream or something. I'd like to thank Susan B. Anthony for time traveling and Kamala Harris for enlightening us and sharing their time. Mind blown. As we all know, our next vice president will be Senator Kamala Harris. Some of her career highlights include, this is just some of them, serving 2 terms as the district attorney of San Francisco. She was elected as the first African-American and first woman to serve as California's Attorney General. In 2017, Kamala was sworn in as the US Senator for California, the second African-American woman and first South Asian American senator in history. Wow, is there anything you can't do?
Actually, there is. There is. I'm going to say this. I work with some really beautiful, kind, brilliant people, but some of them aren't too bright.
Okay,
I can't deal with stupid questions. When someone comes up and asks something that they should know and they should have known since they were 5, I can't stand it. For instance, I'm going to give you my list, all right? I update it every day.
Bring it.
What happens if I press this big red button labeled bomb? Don't forget, I can turn off all water and electricity. I promise you, I'll keep my promise. Good thing this microphone is off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Run like hell. Give us a kiss, cowboy. How about those there pants? What's in it for me? I don't know. Okay, here we are. Goldfish crackers, but 10 times larger.
I love it.
And number 1 stupid thing I've ever heard.
Yes?
Instead of a voting booth, they had me line up at a portage john.
It's true. Oh, God. It's amazing those guys walk amongst us, right, Kamala?
Hey, Jill, I'm from California.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. I've heard about this Florida man.
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
Okay, sure can, Kamala. It goes something like this. So what is a Florida man or a Florida woman? Well, it's any news story that begins with a Florida man was seen or caught doing some kind of jackassian thing that's so weird, it's so perverse, it's hard to believe it's true. And why Florida? Why not Connecticut or Wisconsin? So there are reasons for this, and tonight I'm going to tell you why. Thanks to the Sunshine Law, anyone can request public documents in Florida. So this means police records. This is how we hear about you knuckleheads out there. So as of 2014, Florida is the 3rd most populous state in the country. California is number 1, Texas is number 2. So now we have more people, more traffic, and more times I'd like to punch someone in the face. There's a lot of chances to go skinny dipping here. You can meet a shark or a snake or a gator. It's hot all year round, so we can wear less clothes and drink more booze and get hit by lightning. So thanks to all the tourists, I'm stuck in traffic, it's thundering, and a python just took my parking space. Our first Florida man was in 1931. Carl Tanzler lived in Key West. He worked at the hospital and was obsessed with a young tuberculosis patient named Elena Milagro de Hoyos. Well, she died. And 2 years later, he dug up her body and lived with her corpse at his home for 7 years until he was caught in 1940. I mean, just Google it. It's too freaking weird to talk about. A Florida man removes his facial gang tattoos with a welding grinder. Well, of course he did. This guy here, Eric from Clearwater, bought gauze and hydrogen peroxide, 3 6-packs and a bottle of rum. He asked his friend Brian to do it because Brian was, after all, a certified welder. And sorry, ladies, he's taken. This Florida woman got to keep her 6-foot clothes-wearing, motorbike-riding gator named Rambo. She was told her gator would have to be moved to a larger property or surrendered to authorities. He's like my son. He's my family. He's never been normal. And neither are you, girlfriend. A Florida man was found dead and naked lying across the back of a killer whale at SeaWorld Orlando. Some said this animal is demented, keeping them in a small concrete boxes and making them do stupid animal tricks. It makes them angry and dangerous. And you know what? I say, hey, what about the killer whales? Okay, now here's some good news. Let's change gears. I'm going to tell you about some good things that will make you proud to be from Florida. Public defenders, listen up. You know that part of the Miranda rights where they say, if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. You can thank this guy, Clarence Earl Gideon. He was arrested in Panama City for robbing a jukebox, asked the judge to appoint him an attorney. But at the time, only people facing capital offenses could get court-appointed attorneys, and Gideon was convicted. But as luck would have it, get this, his cellmate at Rayford Prison was a corrupt ex-judge named Joseph Peel, who helped Gideon craft his appeals all the way to the US Supreme Court. The court ruled that anyone in the United States charged with a felony had a right to an attorney, setting a huge legal precedent and ultimately leading to Gideon's acquittal. This story was also made into a film called Gideon's Trumpet, starring Henry Fonda. Air conditioning. You see the really white man on the right there, that's Dr. John Gorey. And the thing on the left, I don't know, that's his invention. It's the ice making machine. I don't know if it's cubed or chipped or shaved or whatever, but it led to the invention of air conditioning and refrigeration. Dr. Gorey's invention began with an attempt to cure yellow fever during an outbreak in Apalachicola in 1841. Convinced that cold was a healer, he advocated the use of ice to cool sick rooms and reduce fever. Ice was shipped by boat from northern lakes until Gorey's successful experimentations with the rapid expansion of gases to create refrigeration. Florida honored Gorey as a notable person in Florida's history by donating the statue of John Gorey to the National Statuary Hall in the US Capitol building. Thirsty, Gatorade. In 1965, the man on the right is Dr. J. Robert Cade, a nephrologist, that's a doctor specializing in kidney care at the University of Florida. Following a request from the Florida Gators football coach, Ray Graves, this special drink was created to help athletes by acting as a replacement for body fluids lost during physical exertion. Dr. Cade mixed water, sugar, salt, dashes of God only knows what to invent Gatorade, of which 12 million bottles are guzzled daily by electrolyte depleted athletes, post-operative patients, and the simply thirsty. Did you know that UF has received $12 million a year in recent years from its 20% share of the trademark royalties and more than $150 million over the life of the agreement? Gatorade is owned by PepsiCo. 3, 2, 1, area code. It was first activated in the year 2000. The telephone area code 321 was assigned to Cape Canaveral and Brevard County in Florida to honor the space program. Area code 321 is the area code serving Brevard County, Florida. The code refers to the countdown sequence, which was launched many spacecraft from Cape Canaveral. It is the only area code in all of North America that is the overlay of one area code and the Seoul area code elsewhere. It's the area code used for SATCOM satellite phone units. So the next time someone asks you, why is Florida so weird? You can tell them why it's so wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, and just
So-
a moment, Frank, I would love for you to be back in your bedroom, so if you get a coughing fit, we won't hear you. You're,
Can you please? Oh my gosh, we're gonna put that in outtakes. And now, yeah, disappear in the votes for all. Yeah, lean all the way back into the vote. Whoa! Yeah.
It's amazing those guys walk amongst us, right, Kamala?
Hey, Jill, I'm from Florida.
You're from California.
Right.
It's
Put something cool in. Yeah.
the votes for all.
Yes.
Yeah. Or how about here in my office?
No. That's way too fancy. Do it again. Say it. And you do it too, Jill.
Yeah.
Give us a kiss, cowboy. What? Biracial.
so my great-great-grandmother is Susan B. Anthony's first cousin. My great-great-grandmother lived in Boston, so when Susan B. Anthony would be speaking in Boston, she would go from Rochester, New York, and stay there with them.
It's around here. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm ready. I'm ready for them. I'm ready.
Okay. And action.
Good thing this microphone is off.